Welcome to Spare Parts, a racing podcast. Here to talk all things motorsports are your hosts Stephen Clary and Sean Cavarella.
Wow, what a race.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one, actually.
That was thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, probably one of my top 10 for sure.
Wow, that high, eh?
One of the best in the last... Okay, definitely the best one out of all the, with the new aero kit. Not as maybe as fun of a race as you had like with the, when like the crazy drafts were.
Mm-hmm.
But this Indy 500 is definitely a classic one, I would say.
Yeah, hard to disagree.
Definitely would go down as one of the more unique events ever run at the circuit too.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that'll be the big thing that sticks out in people's minds first and foremost is that we were missing about 250,000 people.
Yeah,
But
a little more than that, I think.
Yeah, but the on track was fairly entertaining.
Yeah,
I'd say.
no, it's very true. Was it? So I think this episode will definitely be one that's almost entirely focused on the Indy 500, as it's like a marquee event.
Yep, sort of like our Daytona episode.
Yeah, exactly. So, welcome to Spare Parts. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Steven.
And let's get into this. So where do you want to begin with this race?
I guess right at the start, eh? That'd probably be a good place. Scott Dixon, just holy crap! Right off the hop, just yep. See you guys. See you losers.
Yeah, he was a man with a mission today.
Yep.
Or well,
yesterday. He had Marco for turn one, and it was just like, yeah, okay. Marco may have had the speed on the week before, but I think Dixon's found that little extra bit for race trim.
I like how Dixon like tucked in behind Marco as the race started.
Yeah.
Just so he could get a run and know he would get him and beat him into turn one.
Yeah, that was. It's two veterans that doing it, but when you're the lead car, you're sort of at the mercy of whoever's behind you. And when the guy behind you is a 5-time IndyCar champion, you're kind of fucked.
Oh, for sure. I ended up taking notes throughout the entire race, and at one point, my notes were just like, Dixon, wow.
Yep. Well, it was hard. It was a little not hard to gift, but there wasn't a whole lot to gift for a little bit because Dixon was just sitting out front by himself. There wasn't much of a battle going on, and like he was just checked out for the middle sector of that race.
Yeah.
Right.
So for the most part, I would say the opening to the race was very clean. Except for Ed Carpenter coming together with Veach, I think it was.
Yeah, Ed wasn't overly happy with Zach after that one. I don't know if
I don't know if you can blame him.
Yeah, it was a bit of a racing incident. But
it's also a bit of like you're trying to stuff it on the outside of a corner,
you
know, and you were late onto the scene. You're kind of trying to make space as he's coming up the track, and you know. In that part of the race, just back out of it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, you're 6 laps in, and you're trying
this
to
was
make
like the
a
second
race
corner.
winning. Yeah, you're trying to. Oh yeah, you're trying to make a race
you went
winning
6 laps
move.
down, but
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
but you're trying to make a race winning move, going checkers or wreckers right off the hop. Not a great strategy there.
Yeah, speaking of, I guess checkers or wreckers, that definitely seemed to be almost a theme for this week.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, like, there were a lot of accidents in this race.
Mm-hmm. We had, 7 cautions? 6 cautions?
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
In total? Yeah, and most of them were just all people just making a slight mistake.
Yeah,
like
there is no room for real mistakes.
No, it has to be perfection
Yeah,
when you do this, and if you want to win, you have to be perfect.
yeah. You can't
So,
afford any kind of mistake.
yeah.
Like
So
like for example, like with Carpenter there, made a slight mistake, maybe misjudged it a bit in the beginning, and
hmm
he's done.
Yep.
His day is done before it's even started.
Yep.
Um,
Which it's got to be getting very disappointing for him this late in his, I guess, in the driving part of his career, right? It's
yeah, like
being the
honestly,
hometown guy. You're always going to be disappointed when you don't win this race.
I
I mean,
think
that
he
goes for
should go
everybody,
the
but
route of Michael Andretti. Give up the seat. Make
yeah.
like look how many cars Andretti has won with. Not himself, but his team has.
hmm
So, maybe it's time to kind of give up the dream of you winning, but if you can make your car win, that's entirely like if your team can win, maybe look at that as a goal. Like
Yep.
I don't see Carpenter winning anytime soon, especially now that the Chevys look like they're not even competitive with the Hondas right now in the 2.5 mile ovals.
Yep.
Like that
Well,
was a big I think story. Also, it's just the lack of pace it seemed to come from the Hondas or from the Chevys compared to the Hondas.
yeah.
Definitely was a Honda advantage this race,
Well,
which is something
and
we've seen the opposite though. The last few years was always Chevy advantage.
yep, but um, I don't know. I feel like there was a big point made about that. How the Honda was clearly the quicker car. I think that seemed to come up a lot. If you ask me, like
No,
it
yeah, I will say it did come up a lot. It definitely in a spec series, I think you expect the two engine manufacturers not to make a big difference.
hmm
But in this case, yeah, it does make a big difference.
it made a huge
And the
difference.
Hondas just were able to produce maybe a little extra horsepower than the Chevys.
Yep, there was a clear difference last week
Yeah.
when we had one Chevy. But going back to Carpenter, like it's got to be again, it's got to be a little disappointing because he's been up in that Fast Nine the last couple of years,
Yep.
and
His cars are usually
uh,
competitive, and he had
yeah,
Venus VK up there at this race this time.
yep,
Also competitive. Just couldn't kind of put it together, it seems.
yep. So it might. It's hard to say if it was just him having a rough day because again he is usually up there in that lead group, but I don't know, like when your rookie's outperforming you and then but at the same time all the Chevys are seem to be down. It's hard to say,
Yeah.
but
And then you have, I guess, on the flip side, I would say, Carpenter, I would definitely say, is a veteran of the series and the 500.
mm-hmm.
And he kind of seemed to be the only veteran that struggled.
Yeah,
Mostly, and not in terms of like having a bad race, but it seemed to be that it was rookies or guys with not a lot of experience that kind of fell off during their whole race. Like look at some of the incidents that happened, right?
mm-hmm.
Like you had Davison. He's been there a few times. I wouldn't say he's a veteran of the track, but probably one of the more inexperienced guys actually in the field.
Yeah.
His tire
Ericsson.
goes up.
Well, I think that's just bad luck there.
Yeah.
That was straight up bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Watching that,
Definitely one of the weirdest tire incidents I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, watching that tire explode was an interesting gift
Like
to make.
it literally exploded.
Yeah.
Like I think it was the one
Or-
angle front
no,
on
sorry.
showed the whole caliper actually just blow up.
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't the wheel. Yeah, it was the brake that blew up on him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like Davison, more inexperienced guy. He's out. Ericsson, only second one he's ever done, crashes out. What was it? Kellett crashed. Askew, Palo.
Rossi.
Rossi, I think, is a little becoming more of a veteran. But just
Well,
in that kind
I
of
was gonna say he's definitely a veteran, but
Mhm.
he's sort of the only one in that group who wasn't the, as you said, the rookie.
yeah, and maybe Daly, but hard to say with Daly with this just being his only full time year.
Yeah,
You know, still kind of an inexperienced guy, really in IndyCar full
been
time.
been around a while, but doesn't have the same amount of reps as guys who have been around as long as he has.
Yes, very
Right?
true.
Being the part timer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, was a yeah. This is a year where it pays to be experienced, right? And I
It
think
really did seem that way.
that's easily reflected in the fact that Scott Dixon's won 3 races.
Mm-hmm.
So
3 races, and after this race, finishing second, I think the title is basically his almost.
yeah, it's hard to say someone will overtake him at this point unless he wrecks out of every race that, or he's the first to wreck out of every race going forward.
Yeah.
That might be the only way, and I think that even then, someone had to pull off a string of victories to keep up.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be the same person.
Mhm.
Maybe Newgarden at this point.
Maybe
Um,
maybe outside shot, but okay. So where were we in the race here?
we had Davison blowing up, but that was the accident that really seemed to kind of shift everything strategy wise.
Yeah.
And like it seems then that's when a lot of the Penske guys, a lot of the McLaren guys, more guys that were in the back, definitely went off strategy then.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wish we could have actually seen green flag how that would have played out. But unfortunately we didn't. But it definitely made it more interesting to watch because it put in that element of chance, right?
Yep.
You weren't sure when they were
very
going
clear
to fly.
Yep, and you had a very clear 2 sets of strategies that had to sort of evolve through the race. But at the same, while they did evolve, there were 2 very distinct groups that shook out there, for at the very least for the top 10.
Yeah, most notable, I would say, of the contenders that went off strategy was Pagenaud.
Mm-hmm.
Last year's race winner. Would have been kind of cool to see him pull something. Power never really seemed, I think, to be there.
Yeah.
And I think it was Askew also.
Yeah, Askew was doing well until...
He did not. He went exit stage left hard.
Yep.
But we'll get to that.
Yep.
So yeah, and interesting thing also with that whole going off strategy was a car that did go off strategy was Fernando Alonso.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think if he may had stuck to that strategy, he could have possibly had a better result.
It's possible, but at the very least, I think for him, he was just happy to finish this race for once.
That is true. That is his first. He did finally complete 497.5 miles.
Yes.
Finished
Close
lap
enough.
down. Didn't get the full 500. Doesn't count.
Close enough. Round up.
But yeah, it has to be good for him to, I guess, finish the race.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was nearly as competitive as he wanted to be.
No, definitely not. You want to see, like, I think we said it last week with our bet with our dads, where if there was one guy to win it out of the field, a reminder, they took the field. We took someone from the top 9. So hey, high five, we win. But if there was going to be one guy out of the field who won the race and sort of took it away, where we wouldn't be upset, it would have been Fernando, just because then you're watching a triple crown event.
And when do you get to really say you can do that?
Who was the last guy to do it at Indy?
I can't remember. Was it Graham Hill?
Maybe.
Oh well.
That's what Google.
You can look
That's
it
what
up.
Google's
I will
yeah.
continue talking about the race. So you had all the people going off strat, and that kind of got seen to be brought into question almost immediately after with Ericsson's crash. Because then you had the guys who were still off strat, I think, were still in front, or they got to pit then and be a little bit ahead. So it really kind of cemented that off strategy group, I thought, where you had basically two distinct guys or two distinct groups of people who could compete. One that had basically there was a leader strategy and there was the off strategy guys. And it definitely seemed that had the race gone all the way to the end, I think at the end Pagenaud would have had a chance. Had it stayed green.
Yeah.
He seemed to be running the best, especially out in front. Once he got clean air, his car was really good. Really seemed to struggle in traffic. So who knows if it stayed green, if that would be the case, if he would be that good, because you have all the lap traffic that also came into effect at the end.
Hey, wait, time out though. You're saying Pagenaud would have had a chance?
I think if the guys that went off strategy.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he was the only best finishing of all those guys.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he was the best finishing guy of all those guys that went off strategy.
But Pagenaud was 2 laps down. I'm confused.
Oh no, he got screwed out by the caution. Right, that's what happened to him.
Yeah.
He pitted and then lost out to the caution.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I still think he had a really good chance.
Yeah. Well, cautions can easily screw you. But yeah, Graham Hill's the only guy to ever do the Triple Crown. So.
Yeah.
For those keeping track at home, he won the Indianapolis 500 in 1966, which is a little bit before our time.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And he finally got the Triple Crown in 1972 when he won Le Mans.
Damn.
So still a little bit before our time.
I mean, yeah.
So, anywho, back to...
But yeah, I was saying, the crash that really kind of cemented it was Ericsson's crash, and his crash I felt terrible for. I thought Ericsson definitely had a chance to compete up front in this race.
Yeah, we had a very good Saturday last week. He was top 15 when he crashed, I think.
He was at least top 15, maybe pushing top 10.
Yeah, and he had been running up at the front in terms of that. I guess that top, if you consider that top 15 the front half.
Yeah, he had the pace.
The entire time.
Had the pace, had the ride. I think Ericsson definitely has to look back at this race as a what could have been, based on just how strong he ran.
Yeah, but
in terms of he looked strong in practice. He was decent in qualifying, and I definitely think he had the team behind him and the engine behind him to get him to the front. Just really unlucky that it kind of ended very, very quickly, and in what seemed to be just a very simple little mistake, little snap of oversteer, and you're gone.
Yep.
And that kind of was happened to two people. That was him and Rossi. Both had that issue where they had a little snap of oversteer. Just
a touch. Again, you gotta be. Well, you don't have to be exactly perfect, but you gotta be damn near close to run this course.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
What was it? Here's a fun one from my notes that I have from the race.
Okay.
Holy fuck, Dixon pit stop. That was all my note. Because he had the stupid fast pit stops.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? I think it was I think it was one. I'm not sure if it was the first green flag set of stops. But he had just a dumb fast pit stop. I think it was a 6 second. It was in the 6s.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah, especially
What's
for
the average? What's the average IndyCar? You think like 7 or 8
7.
seconds?
Definitely
7.5?
7. I think is kind of what you're going for.
Yeah, and like mid sevens at that, probably. Let's say for an average pit stop.
Yeah.
So getting into the six is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But
And I think it was in the same thing of pit stops. VK had his troubles where he hit his crew member.
oh yeah, that was a bit of a that was tough to watch.
What did I text you?
Called it.
Yeah. See, last week when we were doing our predictions, you were very high on VK.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
And I said, yeah, you gotta watch those rookies. The pit stops is where the mistakes will happen with them.
Yep. Well,
And what do you know? I was right.
Same time, it's 2020, man. You can't predict anything here.
That's also true. But I am taking that prediction. I am saying I was right on that. That
That's fine.
if you're gonna have a struggle, especially as a rookie at the 500, it's going to be in the pit lane.
And that brings our this podcast grand total of things being right up to 2, 1 apiece here.
Hey, we'll take them where we can get them.
Exactly. We won't bring in the correct percentages.
No.
That we'll be happy with 2 and take the flat 2.
And then it really seemed like the race kind of played itself out with just some, I don't know, I would say some heavy crashes after that.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, like I have in my notes, just kind of Dixon leading. Dixon looks like he's winning. Oh, I have Kellett's crash. And, that's a rookie crash.
Yeah. It was just a moment of broken concentration, I think.
I think it's a moment of going for it when maybe you shouldn't if you're a little more experienced at the track, but being a rookie and kind of being his only real race of the season, he kind of has to kind of risk it there and maybe make the move that, maybe you could make that move happen in maybe another half lap. So,
yep. Where you're faster.
Yeah, and what was it? I think he was trying to get around Hanley and just got the air taken off the car and it just didn't turn.
Yep.
And that happens. And guess what? He'll learn from that next year if he comes back. Yep. Which I wouldn't mind to see Kellett back again.
No, he's probably going to end up being like a Connor Daly type, gets a part-time ride, comes out every once in a while. I don't know if he has the skill set to really get a full-time ride with the current youth injection that's coming.
I don't think so, but he definitely has the money.
Yeah, that's that's a big part of getting a seat sometimes.
Yeah, hey. Especially for the 500, if you can get someone back in you to get a seat, why not?
Yeah. Actually, so I was just thinking about this as well. Who also had a really good pit stop under green? Was Oliver Askew.
Yeah.
Because he came in behind Pagenaud, and he was, I think he was in front of him by a second or so afterwards. Because that was the, like I was like, okay, Askew's having a good day. Then seeing that from his team to get him out in front, and then he held Pagenaud off as well for a couple laps until the next round of pits, and I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive from a rookie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So.
Yeah. But did Pagenaud have a mistake, or was it? Oh, wait, but that was the time when they went in at the same time, wasn't it? That was like
they went in right when it was. I think Pagenaud got the call.
Yeah, and
Pagenaud got the call, and Askew's call was you pit when Pagenaud pits, and
they jumped.
They nailed it on that pit stop. I don't think that there was really a mistake on Pagenaud's side. It might have been like a slight difference in strategy, but I think McLaren also just had a really good pit stop. So.
And then we got
either way, very impressive.
One of the weirder incidents of the race, besides the tire, was the Daly and Askew crash.
Yeah. Watching the replay, it looked like so they're coming around turn 4, coming to green, and it looks like Daly just caught a little bit of the concrete on the inside of turn
Just
4.
drops it a bit.
Yep, and just back end kicks out, and he goes left. Lots of smoke. Askew can't see what's going on. Jerks the wheel left, and there's no regaining control of that car.
Yep.
That was a solid hit too that he took.
Yeah, that was probably one of the harder accidents at the Speedway in a few years.
Yeah.
Maybe not as bad as I would say Bourdais.
No,
But just
definitely not.
It just looked so vicious, probably because it wasn't at full speed, but it was coming to speed.
Yes.
That, like, it just looked like it just like went and kept accelerating into the wall. That was a hard hit, and you could see he was like
visibly shaken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But despite
Luckily,
the crash-filled nature of this race, everyone was okay, and you can't say enough about the safety in these cars at that track. How much the series does to keep their drivers safe now.
Yeah.
But back
Yeah,
on,
and
I was say
the
back on
safer
the Daly
barriers.
thing. Well, safer barriers, obviously, but Indy kind of was one of the people that pioneered that.
Yep. Well, I'm just saying, the safety barriers did the job they needed to.
Yeah, and
That's
you
for
could see
sure.
like when it hit how much it absorbed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just even looking at how wrecked the car was, it just like all that energy going through the nose cone there. Of
Yeah.
That McLaren.
But then you have Daly, who I think he could have saved it. You know, maybe he would have damaged the front wing, but Askew just kind of was like, "Nope, we're done here." Took him right out.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't think Askew could have seen where Daly was. There's just so much smoke, and he was trying to avoid the car that was in front of him.
Yeah,
So
and again,
can't really blame him.
that'll happen with young drivers in the series. Not really sure how the car will behave when you're trying to do some accident avoidance. And you see it usually every year at the 500. There's always some accident where someone tries to avoid and it just causes a bigger accident. Like it happens almost every single year.
Yeah.
So on the bright side, it was just 2 cars, nothing bigger. Everyone was okay. You kind of feel bad for the what was it? The Air Force and the Space Force cars. They did not have good days.
No.
Their chances were shut down.
Yeah, very good.
I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that one.
Good for you. You're the only one giving yourself a pat on the back for that one.
Someone should.
No, they really shouldn't.
Anyway, and then there was the Alex Palou crash. They really commentator jinxed him.
Yeah. He's having a good day out there and into a wall.
It was within 10 minutes of them saying something really good about him and how he's beating Fernando Alonso.
Mm-hmm. The top Spaniard and no longer the top Spaniard.
Yeah. It's like someone's in the stands just like, okay, I'm going to snipe out his tires.
It was the one guy in the treehouse. Which,
that was awesome.
Side note, that was brilliant. $400 worth
that.
of $400 worth of timber.
Did you see some of the footage from it?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh, that guy did a great job.
I mean, that guy's day of cheering was pretty much done because he was cheering for Carpenter, but
well, you can't have it be perfect all the time.
yeah, but I was gonna say at the same time, he's one of the few people who was able to really see it live.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was cool, and it just shows the dedication of some IndyCar fans. They're willing to go knock on some stranger's door. Hey, can I build a treehouse in your backyard so I can watch the racing that's going on over there? Yeah.
Especially when it's the biggest event of your city. I understand, Yeah. Like, I saw a lot of people giving him crap about, like, oh, you should just let the people in. They're already just gathering outside just for a chance to watch a little bit of something. Like, if they were just to open up the doors, like, just let them in, what would be the issue? It just had them
Yeah.
all spaced out,
Yeah.
which I get. You know, as someone not there who doesn't really have a big event like this in my city, I understand. Like, people want, like, this is your marquee yearly event that most of your city shuts down for.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go watch it. A lot of people's lives doesn't revolve around it, but they're heavily invested in the track, in the series, in the race.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why people want to be there. Part of me is just like, idiots, I'll go home. Like, you shouldn't be there. Like, pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think it's for the best,
Yeah.
It's for the best that there was no fans. But I
Yeah.
think it shows the passion that a lot of these fans, especially in Indianapolis, has for the race. And hopefully, like, their passion goes to next year and more people want to go, want to attend. You might see an uptick in attendance next year if things are back to normal and fans can be at the race.
Fingers crossed, knock on wood.
So
Um,
we'll see how it goes, but I applaud all the fans that came out. I respect you all for your passion. Just stay 6 feet apart and you're all good.
Yep. And I guess while we're sidetracking and talking about fans, this got a lot of international, I think, viewership as well, from especially with no F1 race this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just still, like, even though we've had a lot of racing back, I think a lot of fans were still starved. And I know on Twitter at the very least, there was a lot of interaction from fans. I was going to say across the pond, but literally from everywhere that were very excited to sort of tune in, and were tuning into their first one.
You did have some conflict with the Champions League.
A little bit.
But I think that was only for the beginning half of the race, and a lot of people, I think, jumped on afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it really was one of the only things on.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see what the TV numbers will be like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping even up here in Canada for Sportsnet that their TV numbers did well.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's one of those things where I want to see IndyCar more up here. There's a lot of NASCAR stuff at TSN. They do a lot of I'd say support for the series that they have. So I would like for Sportsnet to kind of give a little more love to that series.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had a very fun talk. Was it last year when Sportsnet took away their coverage?
Yeah.
Of IndyCar.
They tried to make it all basically behind a paywall streaming service.
Yeah.
And not even available on TV at all. So.
Mm-hmm. It's
they quickly changed that though.
Yeah. I was sitting there I like IndyCar a lot. I'm not spending $200 to watch it.
Mm-hmm. No, and I agree with that.
Especially when the only competition at the time was reruns of wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. They would play reruns of wrestling over a live Indy event. But hopefully this race, and with more people being at home, being able to watch it, I hope. I just hope that they can see that people are going to watch this stuff, and they can get more love for the series out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, so here's an interesting thing we won't have the official numbers for the 500 probably for at least another day or two. We're recording this on the Monday, so maybe by Wednesday we will. But 2019, at the very least in the UK, they had a record attendance, and that's while it's going
attendance
or viewership.
There you go.
But that was when it's competing against Monaco as well. And yes, I realize one runs in the morning, one runs in the middle of the day on Eastern time, but still, I think if they were setting records in 2019 where there was some competition, there could be a good spike. Again, this is all speculation based off the Twitter interactions that I saw, but again, hopefully it gets some people to tune in. Though those that will say that just sort of want to go on and comment, "Oh, it's so boring. Why are they only turning left?" Blah blah blah. Watch the race, learn the race, and don't just give a sarcastic response when someone asks why you don't watch it or why you don't like it, why you don't like over racing. It's totally fine. You don't have to like it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. But
for some F1, I would say elite fanboys out there, that would make the argument of, no, they just turned left. What's so impressive?
Yeah,
it's like saying, why do you watch F1? Mercedes always wins.
Exactly.
You know, like there's more to the sport than one aspect, and if you want to actually learn a sport, you learn every aspect of it. It's simple as that. And don't just judge it based on the one thing you see.
Yeah, and if you still find it boring after that, fine. It's just not for you, man. And that happens.
Yep, that is very fair.
And maybe one of these days, maybe it'll be one of our off-season things. I know we've had sort of on the schedule for a little bit, but we'll go over sort of the gatekeeping of motorsports and all sports in general when it comes to fandom. But that topic requires more time than we'd be able to give it right now. So we'll save that we'll keep that in the back pocket for a later day.
Yeah, maybe for like a in between seasons kind of thing. Maybe for like a racing off season.
Exactly.
But before we get into, I would say, the last 50 laps of this race, which really all the drama happened, we got to talk about some other drama that happened.
Which was?
My fucking fantasy team.
Your team got absolutely decimated.
They were cursed.
How many drivers did you have finish?
3.
Out of?
9.
Hey.
Yeah. Like, okay. So, and I was really fun tweeting it out too as it happened. By about the halfway point of the race, I'm looking at my team. I'm like, damn, I've lost Daly, Ericsson, and Kellett. That's okay. Not so bad. Literally after tweeting that, like 10 minutes later, Pelot crashed.
Yep.
I'm like, damn. Okay. You know, I still have Rossi, Dixon. They're running 1-2 at the time. Pato was 3rd, so I had 1, 2, 3. Not bad. I had Hinch in the back pocket. And by the end of it all, Rossi also wrecks out. Dixon doesn't win. Pato had a good finish, and Hinch was like 7th. So I had 3 of the top 10.
But that's
the rest just didn't make it. So I want to put out a formal apology to Alexander Rossi, Marcus Ericsson, Dalton Kellett, Connor Daly, and Alex Pelot. Picking you on my fantasy team I am the reason that you crashed. I'm sorry. It's just simple as that.
It's all your fault.
It is.
Yeah, I had 5 out of 8, so I'm not too upset with that. Because I took Ryan Hunter-Reay in 10th. Where did Marco finish? Where was Marco?
Back.
Yeah, he. I don't know. He was 13th. That's all right.
13 down from where he started.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Marco.
He can only go down from where he started, basically.
Exactly. I had Hinch, who was 7th. He finished pretty much right where he started, so that's fine. Reynolds, 20th. Bit of a rough one. And Colton Herta finished 8th. So I had 3 in the top 10 as well. Not quite as well, but...
I didn't realize Reynolds VK, his last name isn't VK.
Yeah.
Van Kalmothot.
Yeah, that was an interesting trivia question to throw out there in the middle of a race.
Yeah, did not realize that. I was always watching him and I'm like, oh, VK. Oh, that's an interesting last name. Not understanding that it's VK. Oh, I feel so stupid.
As the initials. I don't think a lot of people, I don't think it's common knowledge. But
I do love a lot of the young guys like Pato Award, Renus VK. Like they all have like a little thing with their name and stuff, and it's kind of fun that way.
But there was some announcer just trying to say his name, and he's just like, okay, screw this, VK, that's it.
Yeah, probably.
You can't screw that up. Come on. But the fact that he also took the time to go out and spell it rather than just putting like initials
Yeah,
is
exactly.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.
But for a 19-year-old, he did fine. I think he has to be happy with his performance.
Mm-hmm.
He finished with the car running. He beat Fernando Alonso.
Yep.
But not a whole lot you can really say.
Yeah, but speaking of, I guess, the younger guys, preemptive congratulations to Pato Award
For Rookie of the Year.
For Rookie of the Year for coming 6th.
Have you seen the IndyCar standings also, by any chance?
I got them open right now, so
yeah,
he's third.
He's third.
Yep.
He is having a very good rookie season.
Yep. Oh, the McLarens are competitive. It's as simple as that.
I think Award is a exceptional driver, and I think he's going to prove it in the future.
Yeah, definitely. He's having a very good rookie year. We'll see. The sophomore slump is always the one that you gotta watch in every sport.
That is true. You ever want to get too big for your britches and then kind of blow it.
So, but Herta, well, I guess you can't really say Herta's slumping. He's 7th in the standings.
He's finishing more races this year than last year.
Yes, and I think I think if anything, he's actually taking a step the other way. He hasn't won any races. He hasn't gotten on pole, but he's also not having the checkers or wreckers sort of season that he had last year, where it was either top 3 or back of the pack.
And he had a good finish in 8th for this race. I think he definitely because last year, what did he get? 3 laps.
Yeah,
I think he got 3 laps and his gearbox failed.
Yeah.
So for him, I would also argue that he was very much kind of a rookie this year, and 8th in your first real attempt at the 500.
Yeah.
That's very respectable as well.
Very, very much so. So where were we with the race?
We're going to get into the shenanigans of the race in terms of when everything kind of hit the fan, I would say.
Yep. So where do you want to start with that?
Starting with Rossi's incident in the pits. This is the pit stops following Pallou's crash. Rossi gets released into Sato. Sato has to go to the back of the pack. Speaking of, this is the first time I'm mentioning Sato so far in this entire review.
Yep.
He had a fantastic race. Not only the fact that he won the damn thing, but he just was there and just did his own thing. Was really not really in any kind of way looked like too much of a threat. Just, oh hey, I'm here. Bide his time. Learned his car. Learned where he can make the moves.
Yep. Hit those fuel numbers.
Yeah, and he really, I would say, played it really well.
Yep.
He drove an exceptional race, and anyone that wants to take it away from him can shove it.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that at the end of the race here.
Oh, we will.
Going back to the incident, I'm going to say, well, first of all, so the whole reason there was a slight delay in Rossi's release was because of the, was it the rear right? The guy dropped the wheel nut.
Yeah.
Which, sort of, that kind of sucks, but mistakes happen. But also, great recovery. Great job on the hands team there.
Yeah, exactly. Like to be able to pick that and get it and go and probably lose like less than half a second.
Yep. But losing that half a second led to the penalty, which I don't get how they're calling that a penalty, really.
He hit a car.
I know, but I don't know. It just seemed like a stiff penalty.
The rules are the rules. It's
I
like
know.
The penalty.
Okay.
Look at VK's penalty for hitting a crew member. it doesn't matter how hard you hit a crew member. You hit a crew member, you get a penalty.
I don't feel like you're going apples to oranges here.
That shit makes no sense. Why can't fruit be compared?
Thank you, little Dicky.
No problem.
But I don't know, like, so in the time that he got released, Sato still wasn't even like out of his box yet. So
How is he
trying to
not
figure
out of his box when he hits him?
No, not when he hits him. When I'm saying when Rossi is getting the go 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 go, and he's slamming on the gas.
No,
Sato is barely
fine.
out of his box.
But he is already coming out of his box, and but you still have to be aware as the driver of the cars around you. You do have the aero screen, and you have your mirrors. Yeah, there's some blind spots, but your spotter has to be on it and saying, "There's a guy there." You can't just go out and hit him. And also, you could have just given more room in the slow lane and yielded. He didn't, you know?
But at the same time, Sato's sitting in between two lanes there.
Yeah, because he's also in the same boat.
Okay, so why couldn't he yield to the car in front of him and move over a little bit?
Because he's technically in front, and he was he was in the front. He got released into. He didn't hit him just randomly in the pit lane. Contact on the pit lane happens, as you can see with like what was it, Herta and Santino Ferrucci. Which that radio exchange was hilarious.
Oh yeah,
when
makes me really happy to it makes me really happy that we have that in IndyCar. There's time like listening to the F1 guys. I kind of wish they had that.
You can understand why they don't. For like,
yep.
You know, you don't want people spying on their communications.
Yep.
But yeah.
At the same time, with some of the little radio bits that we do get, it's hilarious. So.
Yeah, I think it's a penalty. It's in the rules. He got released into him. It's not Rossi's fault, but it's Rossi's team's fault. And for that, Rossi has to be punished.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I guess the only good thing is that until he crashed, we got like a couple laps of angry Rossi.
That restart was amazing.
Yep.
Oh, that was just...
I'm wondering if the stewards are like, he did really well when we penalized, or when he had an issue last time, he got really angry. Let's do it again. And
yeah, he was storming through the field basically right back to the front, and he did a great job in the restart. Right, took 5 cars in 1 and 2
on the back straight.
Oh yeah, the back straight it was.
Yeah, he saw Helio move to the outside. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go that way. These guys are slow.
Your gif of that was very well done, to be honest.
Which one? The actual pass, or when I put Angry Rossi has entered the chat and it was just anger going full speed ahead?
No, your actual one of him flying through it all.
Yeah, it's a cool shot with the onboards there for that one.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm just watching it right now on my phone. Freaking nuts.
It was, It Angry Rossi is fun.
Yeah, and then he had an accident almost exactly the same as Ericsson. Just a little bobble and boom into the wall.
Yep.
And it was a decent hit, you know. Probably not the worst he's had, but it was definitely a solid contact, and his day was done, and don't think he was too happy with how that went.
No. He made it very clear in the post race that he was not happy.
Yeah.
But I still agree with him. But yeah, no,
his Instagram was pretty funny.
Which one? I didn't see it.
He posted a picture yesterday. It was just the eggplant emoji with his only caption.
Nice. Yeah, he did not hide his thoughts on the penalty afterwards.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to said he was gonna have to talk to somebody about that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he wasn't happy, and I think part of it definitely also doesn't help that he crashed, but
Yeah. I think there was also some anger in the moment. Like he did today in his post on it, did congratulate Sato.
mm-hmm.
So he might be over it a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's a minor side note. Yeah, it was a bad day to be Napa a Napa sponsored driver because I'm pretty sure Chase Elliott wrecked out at Dover too.
Yeah, he also he had a bad one too.
Yeah, not a good day to be driving a Napa.
Napa's Pierre's like, whoo. Not a good one.
Not good.
But and I think it was after Rossi's crash that everyone went basically back on the same strategy for the end of the race.
Mm.
And yeah, then you had basically, oh yeah, Pagano got into it with someone on the restart as well.
Are you talking about when he got that little kiss in the short shoot?
Yeah, he broke his ring there. That's what happened to him.
Hunter
right?
Ray. That was Hunter Ray.
Yeah, he had that damage, and that's what screwed him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was just a small little kiss on the back right.
Yeah, screwed his way.
Rear right. Just a quick little kiss at 2:15.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not nothing to worry about there.
And then they basically set up for just Dixon and Sato to go against each other for the end.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
Sato
even
timed it right.
Yeah. Well, even towards the end there, it wasn't just those two. They got into like a 4-car race when they caught that rear pack.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as they caught that rear pack, Sato couldn't get around them for like at least half a lap.
Yeah.
And that let Dixon sort of reel him in, and then he wasn't close enough to make a move, so Rahal reeled Dixon in a little bit, and Santino was right on Rahal's ass, and Newgarden wasn't even that far off.
Yeah, they that top 5 late race battle with the lap traffic definitely was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame we didn't get it all the way to the end, but for the laps we had it was good, and I will say Sato earned this victory.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Was it 5 laps to go? Spencer Pigot crashed out.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. That was a heavy hit. I thought because that was one of those crashes where it's like, I want to make a gif out of this, but there's some things some of the wrecks you just don't make a gif.
I'll be honest though, I'm amazed at again the safety in these cars for how hard a hit that took. Right in the cockpit.
Well, he basically got T-boned.
Yeah, exactly. He basically gets T-boned by the wall, right in the cockpit, and just bounces out and the car completely intact. Safety cell stays together. It's all good. Nothing penetrates or anything. It's amazing how well engineered these cars are in for safety.
Yep, for sure. And it was also amazing that considering he went from hitting the pit wall to bouncing out into the middle of the track, that nobody else came close to hitting him. This is there wasn't anyone overly close to him after he lost it coming out of 4, was on the outside of the wall, someone skirted underneath him, and then that's when the car moved to the inside. There wasn't really anyone close behind him, but still, you got to remember that these cars close up fast. If you've ever slammed on your brakes because someone's jammed on the brakes in front of you, you're only doing like a third of the speed,
a quarter of the speed, depending on where you are.
Yeah, so imagine doing that.
Yeah.
3 times as fast.
And that crash resulted in the race ending under yellow.
Yeah.
And Sato gets his second victory at the Indy 500. And, okay, to go back to what we were talking about Ed Carpenter earlier. Sato has won 2 of these now in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Is Carpenter going to have a 40-year-old resurgence? Who knows? Maybe that's why he keeps doing it.
Maybe. You gotta have a good engine, or a better, at the very least, a better engine than what he
He's,
had this year.
what, 40 when he won it, 43 now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's amazing with Sato, I think, how he's actually gotten better since he's hit 40.
Yeah, it's
Now, he did
sort of
have
odd.
a few years with AJ Foyt, which may not have been the best.
Doesn't help your career.
No. Well, he only came over to IndyCar in, 2010?
Mm-hmm.
So he was already 33 when he came over.
Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
he has made a very, very good career for himself, I think, in IndyCar. And
Yeah. No,
definitely is probably a top driver. And I think a lot of people saw his first win as maybe a fluke. Like, okay, he was in the best car. He just happened to kind of get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one kind of cements it as no. He is a good driver. He doesn't fluke his way into these things. He is there and he is competitive.
Yeah. No, it's sort of like anytime you look at anytime that one of the F1 drivers in the midfield has a really good race, and it's sort of like, imagine he got into a better car where he could be winning races, and that was sort of what was happening with Takuma for a couple of years. He wasn't necessarily a bad car. It just wasn't one of the. It's hard to go up against the heavy hitters of Penske and Andretti.
Yeah.
Right. So
No, for sure.
But yeah, now that he's in a very good car, he looks like he looks like a much better driver. Motorsports is one of the few sports where your equipment can really make a difference and impact how you're viewed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No, that's very true. But yeah,
but do we want to get into how some
people
some
were mad
people
at
were
the
not-
ending? Yeah.
Yep. Because some people.
Do you
were
want
not
do you want to touch that first? Or do you want me to?
No, I'll go for it first. Yeah, so break it down quickly. So, IndyCar doesn't have the green-white checkered overtime rules that NASCAR has.
Because the race distance is the race distance.
Correct. Though I'll bring up a small, weak counterpoint to that in a second. But so basically, if there's a yellow, basically within 5 laps of the finish, they're not gonna red flag it or just caution it until everything's cleaned up and then go back on their way. If it's a yellow, then the race is gonna finish under yellow. There's no way around it, really. If there's 10 laps to go, maybe, but yeah, it's not the same set of rules. So and a lot of people were sort of upset because I think that we had such a great duel for 50 laps that people wanted to see it play out to its fullest extent and feel that they were sort of robbed by the fact that we didn't get that. But it happens sometimes, right? And we've discussed the green-white checkered and our thoughts on overtime on this podcast before. It's one of the things that led to Ryan Newman getting into a very scary accident earlier this year at Daytona. It leads to a checkers or wreckers mentality, because at that point, what do you really have to lose, right?
Yeah, very true. Like, there's the mentality behind it where, in terms of, do you want an overtime finish or green-white checkered, something like that in all motorsports?
Mm-hmm. Nah.
It's for these big events, sometimes they end under yellow. And I think it's been like in the last 30 years, 1 in 4 of them have ended under yellow.
Yep.
And that sometimes happens when, guys are pushing at the very end and they're giving it all they got, and sometimes they lose it and a crash happens.
Yep.
But then you allow everyone another chance to do that. you're rolling the dice with how much you can do.
Yep, and you're basically putting it or resetting it back to the most dangerous uh
Circumstance.
circumstance of the of these events where you have everybody bunched up, and then you're adding on to the fact that it's 3 laps to go. I gotta it's not, if I don't get the pass in the first corner, that's fine, I still got 400 miles to go and try and make this up. It's either make the pass or or don't. You're not gonna, you may not have a second chance to catch up because the guy behind you could be following that other car through.
And on the flip side of that, you have guys who are just like, I am not going to give up this position.
Yep.
And they're going to fight you even harder to defend it.
Yep.
And then you can get a whole worse accident in the backstretch. Like, imagine what Rossi did in that backstretch if that was the last lap.
Yep.
That's at least 2 cars out. At least.
Yep. And he's sliding up and taking someone with him and then bouncing back down the track. And
then you may get a situation where, someone rides up a car into the fence. How do we really want to see that again?
No, I'm good.
No, we really don't. But then there's other people who are saying, like, well, why didn't they just red flag it? Okay. There was not enough time in 2 regards of that. One, there was 5 laps to go. And when the leader took the flag for the yellow, it was 4 to go. Yep. That's not enough time for proper yellow flag procedures to happen, where all the cars get stuck behind the pace car. They have to go through at least once around, and then by the time they're back around, race is over anyway.
Yep.
There is not enough time for procedures. So it just happened to be at the worst time, and also it would have taken a long time to fix that.
Yeah.
Your barrier at the end of your pit wall just got rocked. Do you really want to go back racing without that there? And do you really want people sitting around for even, let's say, half an hour waiting for 5 laps?
Yeah.
That doesn't make good TV.
And I guess to argue that neither does ending under yellow, but
but you get a conclusion that, it may not be the best, but you can kind of be satisfied with what happened. Yep. Because that's the risk you run in racing.
Yeah, and you sort of touched on it. That was a wreck where it was going to take a while to clean up. I don't know if you noticed, he sort of got T-boned at 200 something miles per hour. There was a lot of debris out there. That was not going to be a quick cleanup.
Yeah.
Like looking at like Rossi and basically almost every other wreck in the race, it was a solid 4 or 5 laps of cleanup.
Oh, for sure. And what really bugs me is also, like, with the notion I've seen some articles of saying, like, oh, Dixon was robbed of a chance to win it. He had a chance. He had 195 laps chance.
Well, and even if you want to say, he led 111 those. And when did Sato pass him? Like lap with 40 to go?
Yeah.
Roughly. There was multiple chances where he could have. And he said it after the race. They were sort of betting on Sato running out of gas based on their numbers.
Yeah, they played the gas game, which is a risk in itself. It's a strategy. Yep. Doesn't always work.
Yep.
So in that regard, that's how it goes. If they had given him maybe a little more fuel and pushed, and maybe if they bet on, if there's a late yellow, we have enough, like, we're good. Yep. That happens sometimes. You can't predict what's going to happen in a race. That's why it's fun to watch, because there is no known quantities.
Yep.
And for that is why this race was so good, because there were so many elements that you didn't know. And as a fan watching it, it kept you on the edge of your seat, unsure how it's going to play out. And that's what you want to see in a race. And for anyone saying that the ending wasn't good because it ended under yellow, did you not watch, like, the 15 laps leading up to that? That's the fun thing, is that it can end at any time. Any event could cause the end of that race.
Yep.
You always have to be prepared for that, and you always have to have a strategy in place that, hey, if we're in front and something happens, it's either, if that caution happened, let's say
10 laps
sooner, maybe we're talking about Santino Ferrucci winning.
Maybe. Or if you want to scroll down further down the list, some guys who took their last bit a little bit later, Pato, Hinch, Herta.
Yeah.
Could have ended like the race we went to in 2016 where,
you didn't know who was going to win.
Top 5 have to go and take a splash and go stop, bumps them back a little bit. And then they're sort of betting on someone else or everybody else running out of gas as well. And then someone just rolls along, and next thing you know, Jack Harvey's running out of gas on the back straight, and he's got a 20-second lead that shrinks down to within 2 seconds as he rolls across the line at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. Or someone hits the wall coming out of 4. You can't always have the best.
Yep. But if you look at the numbers, we don't end under yellow that often. It kind of sucks that it happened on a big stage like this, and but it happens.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen all the time, but sadly, it's a non-zero chance that a race will end under yellow.
Yeah.
And we're saying this the entire time. We want to see this race end under green. Don't get me wrong. Like, it would have been much more. It would have been much more entertaining to watch and see if Scott Dixon's hunch was right and that Takuma wouldn't have had the gas to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been very interested, especially because at that point the math is the thin line on your math is very, very thin there. Like you're getting down to the decimal place of fuel.
Yeah.
So it would have,
and you make those really calculations pretty fast too.
Yep. It would have been very interesting to see what would have happened.
But who knows? With the lap traffic, does that allow him to save more fuel?
Yep. Or with the lap traffic, does Dixon get caught and Takuma takes off?
Mm-hmm. So there's so many elements at play that to say it was a bad race because of ending under yellow is just stupid, and it disregards everything that came before it in the race.
It's disrespectful to the previous 197 laps.
Yeah.
Or 195 laps.
Yeah. So, for you, if you were to give this race out of 10, what would you say? For overall quality, as someone watching it,
I'd say it's a solid 9.
Yeah, I was going to say 9.5.
The thing for me that sort of takes away from it is that, like I said, I'm not upset that it ended under green. It would have been nice for it to end under green, so that takes a little bit away from it. But also, to be honest, we didn't really have much of a race until
the last 50 laps.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, pretty much when that second to last caution came out and sort of backed everybody up into Dixon. I was getting a little bit bored. It was sort of like the whole Mercedes thing we've talked about with F1, where it's like it's cool to see such domination. At the same time, for a singular race, it's going to be like, oh dear God, this is going to be a boring second half of the race here. If Dixon's going to be 18 seconds out in front again, like he was at the Indy GP, and no one can catch him.
I think in this one he was at 1.8 seconds ahead.
Yeah, I was being a little facetious.
No, I know what you mean,
but still.
But I think he definitely had a big gap at one point, and honestly, I was amazed by it. I was like, he is just on rails today. I didn't think he could be beat.
No.
And yet Sato managed it.
Yep. Yeah, because 8 seconds here, you can put your car in fuel savings and be good, because then everybody else has to use up more fuel just to catch you, let alone get past you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a very good race, I think, and the last 50 laps really made it fun.
Yeah.
I wish I had that heartbeat tracker. I think.
Oh, yeah, those are. I wish I had one of those too.
Yeah, it was fun to see. I know Connor Daly uses it a lot during his race. It was really fun because I think Becky Hinchcliffe, James Hinchcliffe's wife, posted. It wasn't during the race, but from the Fast Night. Yeah, the Fast Night on Sunday, showing the comparison between her heart rate and James's heart rate during the qualifying run, and his is lower.
Yeah, his heart rate was lower than hers doing
I mean,
his laps versus her
yeah.
watching it.
And I mean, I kind of get it. You've watched your significant other almost die doing this sport, so I kind of get it.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it was just like, the guy who's actually at risk has a lower heart rate than someone standing on the sidelines.
Yeah. Question for you with this race.
I was gonna say, what did you want to give the race?
I said 9.5.
9.5. Okay.
Yeah. This was the first race with the aero screen. Did it bother you?
No.
Honestly,
No,
I
think it was fine.
thought it looked very fine.
Yeah.
Looked natural.
Yeah, and I think part of it is just that we've sort of accepted it at this point.
Yeah. Definitely came into probably into some use with Pickett's crash, but besides that, I think it was really good.
Yeah,
it's a good safety device to have.
Yeah, and it would have been interesting if this was a normal year, because that would have been the only curveball that really got thrown at teams, but not running as much practice would have thrown them off enough, I guess. But it was, I think some teams were misjudging their tire wear and gas usage, because it's an extra 60 pounds that you got to account for.
No, that's very true.
So I think it might have thrown a couple teams off here and there, but it was, I think it was fine otherwise. They have had, not to say they haven't had time to adjust, and they do have some data from ovals, but it is a different set of circumstances.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Oh, I just remembered one thing we forgot to talk about with Rossi, actually.
Yes.
In that apparently the equipment in his pit box, like their systems, their computer systems.
Oh right, they kept overheating.
Apparently, they were overheating.
Man, you gotta water cool that shit.
He was the only one.
Just him.
Yep. Apparently, no one else seemed to have a problem.
Yeah, they gotta call IT for that. Maybe clean out your fans and your computers or something, because that shouldn't be happening.
Yep, but it led to him almost wrecking, because so every time that I think it overheated 2 or 3 times at least, and one of the times was near the end of one of his stints, and they got it back, so they had to reboot the computer, which obviously means they can't talk to the driver. So they're rebooting as he's coming around 4. It was the Lewis Hamilton from, what was it, the German Grand Prix 2 years ago, in, and he's diving off to the pit lane and misses the line.
Is that why he almost missed it?
Yes, that's apparently why, because they were rebooting and they thought they got it to him in time, but it was sort of like, that's a little too late there on that call there, guys.
That's fair.
Because he made the move, but he saw he wasn't making the pit entry line.
Yeah.
So he bailed out, which was definitely the right move.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just sort of weird. He's the only one who reported having an issue. His team was the only one who apparently had an issue. But so did another team have it?
That is kind of weird.
Yeah, just I don't know. It was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Don't see that happen too often. But do you want to go through, I know we talked a little bit about the fantasy. Do you want to go through our predictions from last episode and just see?
Did we write them down?
I wrote them down, yes, don't worry.
Oh, look at you go.
We have one competent member of this podcast, so
we at least have someone.
So let's go through the winners first. You took Scott Dixon to win. Very close. Very close. But not quite. I mean, it's better than my pick of Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, at least mine was second. Yours was in a wall.
Yeah, so that didn't turn out too well.
Dark horse pick.
I was gonna say let's do the easy one here and take out our rookie of the year choice, Alex Palau. That's a nope.
Yeah, that
kind of wish I had taken literally anyone else. Just to mix it up at this point.
Yeah, but hey, Polo was looking good. He was having a strong day. He got commentator cursed, so
yep.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and then for your dark horse outside of the Fast 9 pick, you had Erickson, Wall, and
Rosenquist.
Alexander Rosenquist. Where did Rosenquist end up? 12th. So not a bad pick there.
Yeah,
Not a bad pick at all. Yeah. My dark horse picks were Connor Daly, Wall, and Colton Herta, who finished, where did he finish? 8th. So not bad.
I feel so bad that no one talked about Sato as a chance in this race.
No.
Even we
But
didn't. And
No.
he
But I think-
definitely was a dark horse in terms of, I guess, people talking about him, but
Yeah.
no problem
Like
winning.
he started on the front row.
Yeah.
But even quickly I remember quickly going through, we were like, yeah, Dixon's got a chance. Marco, hey, it's 2020, maybe weird stuff happens. Palou, and BK, they're rookies, maybe they got something up their sleeves or something.
Mhm.
Rahaal's got a good chance at it. Hell, even Hinch has a good chance from 6th. And Takuma's sort of there.
Yeah, and no one really took him seriously.
What were his odds to win? I'm curious.
I do not know. But they had to be pretty high, because I imagine that, like, again, I don't think a lot of, because I think odds are kind of based on who's betting on him, and no one really put his name in at all. So he definitely is a guy I think people should have bet on, especially in hindsight, because that's an obvious one.
Well, so Dixon had the best odds at plus 450. Not really a surprise there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the front row. So the guy on pole, Marco, had plus 700. And Takuma was all the way down at plus 1600.
Holy shit!
Considering he was also in the front row, like,
Yeah,
some of the guys at the back in Pagano, Newgarden, Will Power,
VK was plus 1800. Daly,
but
Rosenquist, Herta were all 2000.
Yep, but the guys at the back, Newgarden, Powers, Pagano, how did they have better odds?
They're Penske's.
Rossi, I can kind of understand, I guess.
Alonso was
but still.
2200. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, damn, I should have thrown some money on this.
yeah, he probably should have with those odds.
Yeah.
Can't believe that's how much Sato had. Well.
No,
You learn.
It's just odd to see, considering the other two guys starting on the front row, one who has never won this event or been overly competitive, have better odds than a guy who's won this event and also starting on the same row.
Yeah.
It's not like he's starting way at the back.
Double the odds. Over double.
Yeah. So that's kind of odd to see, but yeah, what are you gonna do?
Well, maybe we should wrap up then.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, thank you for listening to this episode of Spare Parts, and we shall be back next week.
Thanks for listening to Spare Parts. Remember to follow the show on Twitter @SparePartsPod and follow our hosts @Sean Cavarella and @Stephen Clary.